How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Beyond the Arc. Now, we are in the middle of NBA Rivalry Week, which on paper sounds really cool, but in the end it kind of just exposes the NBA for the lack of rivalries they actually have. Like, the LA derby, the Clippers have won the last 10 games of that. That's not really a rivalry anymore. The Lakers versus the Celtics, that hasn't been a rivalry for like 10, 15 years now. Like, there really is just no rivalries in the NBA like there used to be. But now you could potentially say that Memphis Golden State is kind of a rivalry. I hate it when the Warriors beat the Grizzlies, because it brings up the conversation of if the Memphis Grizzlies are ready to progress to the next level of the team that we know that they can be. Because every single time the Warriors beat the Grizzlies, everyone, mainly the Warriors fans and the Warriors players themselves, just they say, oh yeah, the Grizzlies, they're not. They can't beat us. They can't beat any quality teams. What is the point of the Memphis Grizzlies when they're just going to be a second round exit or something like that? And essentially, today I'm going to be talking about whether I think the Grizzlies are ready enough to take that next step. So last night, the Grizzlies lost their fourth straight game against the Golden State Warriors. Well, their fourth straight game overall. It probably their fourth straight game against the Warriors as well. They've lost both of their meetings so far in the league, the other one coming on Christmas Day. This one was a bit of a tough loss for the Grizzlies. They were up in the going into the fourth quarter. They ended up playing against a Steph Curry-less Warriors side when the Warriors were up 2 about a minute left because Jordan Poole decided to hero ball a 3 from like 30 meters away when the Warriors were up 2. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like when the ref's that close to Steph throwing his mouth guard out, maybe he's got grounds for ejecting him, but I don't think it was a proper reason for ejection. But that just meant that the Warriors didn't have Curry for the last minute and a half, but Jordan Poole ended up gaming the Grizzlies anyway, so in the end it didn't really matter. I mean, it was a bit of a close game, but the Grizzlies were pretty much full strength, other than the fact that Steven Adams is going to be out for a few weeks. Now, this means that the Grizzlies have lost 4 straight after winning 11 in a row. And that's just the weirdest thing about the NBA. Like, you can go on a mad winning streak, and then just all of a sudden it all gets, brought back down to earth. You start losing a load of games, and it's all really about momentum in the NBA. And at the moment, the Grizzlies have kind of lost the momentum. I mean, they are on they're in the midst of a 5-game road trip. Not tomorrow, but maybe like the day after is the final game of the road trip. I forget who they're playing, but they've lost to Phoenix, Sacramento, the Lakers, and then the Warriors, which, I mean, 4 relatively tough games away from home, especially when your starting center goes down for like halfway through it. That's never ideal. But you know what they say about the best players? They always carry their team even when players are injured, and Ja Morant hasn't really been doing that against the big teams, which begs the question of if the Memphis Grizzlies are ready to take it to the next level. Do we think that they're going to be able to go one step further, go to a conference final, or are they going to be a bit disappointing in the playoffs? They won 11 in a row, but when you look at the schedule, it was a little bit easy. They beat the Spurs twice. They beat Indiana, who, that was in the midst of their 7-game losing streak before they played the Bulls. They beat Utah, Orlando, Charlotte. It was a bit of a easy-ish run. Toronto they played. So they played a lot of teams with a low under 500 record, essentially. And I mean, those are the games that you've got to win if you want to be up there. And, credit to them, there's a lot of banana skins in there that many elite teams do end up falling down to, Orlando have beaten Boston 3 times this season. Boston have lost to the Bulls twice this season. The big teams, they lose to teams under 500 all the time. Credit to the Memphis Grizzlies for winning 11 straight, but on paper, you'd think that they should have been doing it. That meant that they ended up in second because Denver were on the midst of like a 7-8 game win streak, so they still stayed second in the league, in the conference, sorry. And they did they have built a little bit of a gap between them and Sacramento in third, which Sacramento in third, that's a bit of a weird thing. Just saying that, just there. Like, even on this 4-game losing streak, they're still 3.5 games, I think, above Sacramento. So if they can get things going again, they're probably going to be a top 2 seed yet again this offseason. And the way things are going, that might set up a first-round matchup against the Warriors, which, if you're a Memphis fan, that is definitely not what you want, because the Warriors just have that DNA that the Grizzlies don't have. So, do I think that the Grizzlies are ready? That's the annoying thing. Like, I feel like everyone is setting a high standard for the Memphis Grizzlies. And, you know, maybe the Grizzlies are setting a high standard for themselves. Maybe they think that this year, you know, they can go one further. But I remember saying in my predictions video, I don't think anyone was expecting the Grizzlies to do so well last year. And equally, I don't think many people are really taking this year as a do-or-die year for the Grizzlies. Ja Morant's still young. Desmond Bane's young. Jaren Jackson is young. They've got a really young core that just needs playoff experience, and then they'll be ready to take it to the next level. I have no doubt that this Memphis team is going to be in the NBA Finals in the next 5 years. You know what I mean? Like, nobody who's really... Well, I'm not expecting them to do really well in the playoffs this year, although I predicted them to be third in the West. I think they're just a really good regular season team at the moment. You know, when they're young, you don't miss as many games, you have a bit more momentum because you have a little bit more spring in your step, and that just leads you to win a few more games in the regular season that kind of just puts you in a good stead for the playoffs. But it kind of just overhypes what people are expecting you for the playoffs. At the moment, I don't think the Grizzlies can live up to that pressure. So, in my opinion, I don't think they're ready yet. But equally, that's not a bad thing. When people are saying, oh yeah, the Grizzlies aren't ready, they're never going to be able to beat the likes of the Warriors. Of course they're going to beat the likes of the Warriors. In 5 years, the Golden State Warriors are going to be back in rebuild mode. Like, the Grizzlies and Ja Morant's going to be MVP level. Desmond Bane's going to be what Klay Thompson is now to Steph Curry. You know, Jaren Jackson's probably going to have won about 2 Defensive Player of the Years in about 5 years' time. I think he should be winning Defensive Player of the Year this year, but that's a whole different conversation, you know. Like, if they can keep the core together, the Grizzlies definitely will be ready in the next few years. But I feel like everyone's just so focused on the win now mentality that they can't really see past the fact that, you know, some teams are building stuff up, you know, from the ground up. So the Memphis Grizzlies this year, I thought maybe they'd be bounced in the second round again. If they play the Golden State Warriors in the first round, I wouldn't be surprised if they get eliminated in 6 in the first round. But that's because when it comes to the playoffs, the Warriors are that team. You know, they're not a regular season team really anymore. They're not going to win 73 games like they did in 2016. You know, last season they won the title from the 3rd seed. So, you know, they're not a regular season team anymore. But when it comes to the playoffs, they have that experience, and, you know, you back them against anyone, in my opinion. The Grizzlies, on the other hand, very much more a regular season team that when it comes to a 7-game series in the playoffs, they just don't have that much experience. Now, you know, last season might have given them enough experience to bounce on this year. But ultimately, we won't know until the off-season when that happens. So, who knows what's going to happen as we get towards the tail end of the year. We're about halfway through the season. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about how you think the Memphis Grizzlies will do for the rest of the season. Do you see them finishing second? They have a bit of a tough end to the regular season. You know, a few of their easier games have come and gone. They still have Dallas to play 3 times, Golden State to play twice, like Milwaukee. So let me know what you guys think the Grizzlies will do. Do you think that they might end up finishing first? Do you think they'll hold down second, or do you reckon they'll fall down into about the 3rd or 4th seed, which I predicted them to be at the start of the season? And then, what do you guys think they're going to do in the playoffs? Do you think that they're ready to take the step forward, or do we reckon it's still going to be a 1st or 2nd round elimination, which, like I said, in my opinion, for the Grizzlies, isn't a bad thing this year? Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you're leaving a like on the video, and I will see you guys next time for some more Beyond the Arc chatting. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.